Am I on? Okay. Communication. To commune. To be with. To live in unison. To be together. We communicate verbally. One of the reasons for that is that we see ourselves as separate entities when we really are not. But language develops from that. Language originally is meant to be descriptive. But what happens? As a result of our individual experiences, we use language to describe that, whereas one person will do the same thing, have an experience and call it something else. Or we'll come together, we might have, like I say, family culture, we have racial culture, we have regional culture, we have national culture, and we're all speaking different languages about the same experience. I say to you, blue. What's the first thing that comes to your mind? You see? So a word in a sentence gets a response. Now, do we mean the same thing when we talk? No. So what we have to do, we have to learn that we learn these things even when we speak, so-called speak the same language, that we have to listen to hear in context and not judge what we hear before we hear the end of it. If you judge it before you hear the end of it, generally speaking, we're talking about two separate things, and sometimes 3 or 4 or 5 separate things. So we need to stop and learn to listen. We say these things like marriage is a 50-50 proposition. I say that's not true. It's 100-100. I got to give you 100% of my listening. You must give me 100% of your speaking ability. You must draw me a picture because I'm stupid. I have my experience with that language. So I'm assuming things you are not saying. So now, what are you saying to me? Okay, all right. Now it is my turn to speak, and your turn to listen, fully aware of how we've set up our process in here. We come back now to responsibility. If I know these things about myself, then I become responsible. I must be totally responsible. I cannot be responsible when I haven't paid attention to my own shortcomings. First things first. Me first. Not me in a selfish kind of way, but me in the manner that I want to be responsible, that I want to be the best that I can be. I had an old football coach trying to catch the ball one day, hit my fingertips and went away. And he went up one side of me and down the other. I said, but it touched my fingertips. He said, you touched it, it's yours. At the moment I was so upset, I didn't understand what he meant. He was saying to me, You have to figure out how to do it. You had the possibility. You have to figure out how to catch it. Started playing with the ball, bouncing it off a wall, twisting it, bouncing it. Footballs bounce really weirdly, probably because of their weird shape. I learned something. Catching is not always a matter of this. Sometimes it's a matter of just allowing the movement and the hand to achieve the same speed and just relax and let it lie in there. And to disconnect the arm from the body so that the shoulder acts as a shock absorber. And you catch the ball. Would I have known that had he not gone up one side of me and down the other? Probably not. Probably not. I would have accepted the irresponsibility of not giving my best. My best. To do my absolute best, not because someone forces me to do it, but because that's what's in me. Taking care of my shortcomings. I can't take care of someone else's shortcomings. I want to get you to do the right thing. You know what? That's silliness. That's foolishness. I want me to do the right thing. I want me to be responsible. I must do what is right. The ball is mine. Catch it. For what? For me. For me. Find a way to do that. Find a way. Now we talk about this process. There's a movie, Tyrone Power. Some of you may be old enough to remember Tyrone. Bill Murray did the same movie called The Razor's Edge. In this process, it is walking a thin line. There is a very thin line. One step to the right or the left, it's over. It is a thin line, and I must be responsible enough to myself to be that person on the tight wire, to be that person on the tight wire and be comfortable with being that person. Being the person to do what is right, not to expect someone else. I must take responsibility to do what is right. I am not trying to build a society. I am just doing the right thing. That's all I'm doing. I cannot build a society. If you notice in the building of any society, a lot of people die because someone is making someone do the thing that they perceive they should do. So we kill up a bunch of people, and things just kind of don't work right that way. No, it is for me. It is for me. It is for me to understand that I have been raised in a home where we spoke a certain way. I was raised in a society, and in a region we spoke a certain way. I was raised in a country, we spoke a certain way. And it's responsibility of mine to come through each one of those. It is my responsibility to understand each area of my life so that I can bring things together. I've spoken with people, or I've heard people who really have no idea of their direction, and they're all over the place. They haven't taken the time in their life to see that there is a base from which you operate. And off of that base comes thought. And you must follow that to the end in order to get an idea across. If we don't do that, we have not taken the responsibility to communicate. I was on the plane yesterday, and a very tall young woman gets on. Very tall, very blonde, maybe 22. She has the seat next to me. She sits down. How are you? Fine. I'm in my grumpy old man mood. I don't feel good. Someone has told her, you should be bubbly and friendly and make friends with everybody. I don't want to know you. I don't want to make friends with you. I want to sit here and be miserable. Would you like a magazine? Magazine about movie stars and models and shit? No, thank you. Would you like a potato chip? I don't want no damn potato chip. What I want you to do is leave me alone. Let me be grumpy old man. I could see that her feelings were hurt. She was injured. So I said to her, forgive me. I don't feel well. And if I have been offensive, I apologize. And then under my breath, shut up to myself. I am responsible. She didn't get the message at first. She didn't get the message the second time. She didn't get the message the third time. So here you go. We do this because we are responsible. I understand she's got to be 22 at the most. Her experience with people and in the world she probably exists in is that. She wants to bring that world out here, not realizing that there are other ways of being in the world. I understand that. So it's up to me to say, here's where I am. I'm a crotchety old man and I don't feel good. Responsibility. You know, we come to this group, or groups like these, people do, and all of a sudden we become experts on what is right and wrong. But we become experts in here, not in here. We don't understand from here. We don't understand. It's not about whether you are going to do the right thing. It's about whether I am going to do the right thing, because that is the only place I have any control. The only place. Even though we may walk this path together, we walk it separately. We come into a situation to gain knowledge, to gain information. So while we're there, we have to listen, which means we have to dismiss what we think we know. We have to dismiss what our individual culture, our home culture, our racial or sexual culture, regional culture. I have to dismiss all of that. To hear. Once again, in teaching karate, in Japanese there's a word, kia. Kia, translation, yell. Explain this. People throw a punch. Kia! Kia! No. Kia means to yell. Oh, yell! Yell! No. Yell is an action. It's not a word. Kia! Kia! It's all right. You say kia. Everybody else yell. To yell. See, that's pretty clear. Why don't I hear it? That's the question. Why don't I get it? Why don't I know what's being said to me? No human being is stupid. We behave as if we're stupid, but no human being is stupid. Why? Because something else is going on in here. And when something else is going on, whatever that is, I can't hear. Then how are we going to solve the problem? How are we going to solve the problem within our household? How are we going to solve the problem between us and our children? Because they have not been taught to communicate. Because I have not learned to communicate. Their children will not learn to communicate. How can I even solve the problem within my own house? Let alone when the kid goes to school and not knowing what school is for, takes their stuff to school. Well, that teacher can't tell me anything. Well, yeah, they can. You see, so we're setting up a problem when we don't come through our culture. We're setting up a problem in the world. Now I go out and I try to get a job. Or I get a job and can't hold the job. I can't get the kind of job I want because I'm not listening. I go to school. I do everything I can. Comes time to take that test for the degree. I got a problem. Why? I wasn't listening. Why wasn't I listening? See, these are individual questions to oneself. These are questions that no one should have to ask for me. Because if someone has to ask them for me, I'm not going to get it. Because all I'm going to do is show them what my problem is by arguing with them. Do your work. I'm doing my work. Well then, why you got an F? I taught a course once. I can't remember what it was. But I failed like 2/3 of the class. Why? Because one of the requirements, you must be here. You have to be here. You can't miss 30 out of 45 days. Well, see, what happened was See, my mama was sick. Well, you have to give your mama has to give you a grade for mama nursing. The truth is, that's not about here. That's an excuse. That's an excuse from an irresponsible person. And when you're irresponsible, you always have an excuse. So, these are reasons why we have to ask ourselves the question about our culture. About our culture. You know, you've seen people who always are on the picket line about misogyny, about racism, well, there's enough of that going around without us making up something about it. And we do that. Oh, that's just racist. No. How about you do what you should do? Oh, how about that? If racism is there, it will show. If misogyny is there, it will show. Don't make excuses, because those excuses will be why you don't get what you need to get. One needs to get from life what you get. Not what someone gives you, but what you seize. You have to seize it. I came from a separate but equal school system. We got the books that were 2, 3, 4 years old from the old white school. They had black lines drawn over certain things, certain pages ripped out. Y'all got the same books we got. Yeah. Can I go to the library? No. Okay. Then what can I do? I have to educate myself. I have to read everything I can get my hands on. I have to fill in the blanks. We'd be out playing baseball. I'd be in center field with a book in my back pocket. While they were doing what they were doing up there messing around, I would read my book, put the book in my pocket, pick up the ball, throw it, go back to reading my book. I had to be responsible to myself to be the best that I could be, because that was in me. With this process, I explained in the beginning, the most difficult thing about this process is that it will go against everything you think you know that is right. Hear those words. Everything you think you know about what is right. Not what is right, but what you think you know. Because you see, peace has its own rules. Understanding has its own rules. It doesn't depend on this, that, or the other. You either understand it or you don't. I like to use physics concepts. If you notice, the concept of physics reflect the language of the ancient mystics. They speak in the same way. One is philosophical and the other is factual, but they mean the same thing. And I wonder, I look at the big-time physicists, who says, well, there's no proof of this. Or that sounds very Eastern. And the Eastern mystic who says, oh, it is only that crazy science people, when they are saying the same thing. Well, God created the world in 7 days. Seeing that a day is the rotation of the earth around the sun, I want you to think about that a little bit. Created it in 7 days, were there 7 days? So maybe he wasn't talking about 7 days as you think of 7 days. No, 7 days. Okay. Well, what I want you to do then is tell me about that Adam and Eve thing. Okay. Where did Eve come from? She was taken from the rib of Adam. That means they're family, right? You mean there's a little incest going on there in the Garden of Eden? Well, no. Well, God took care of that. Well, wait a minute. You tell me to follow the book. Where does it say that in the book? If you're going to follow the book, God took the rib from Adam and he cleaned it up and he got all Adam's DNA out of it and he made a woman. There you go. All right. So, okay, I'll buy that. So they had 2 sons, right? One of them killed the other one, right? Well, where did all these other people come from? Mama? We right back to that incest thing all over again. All I'm saying is, ask a question. Perhaps I'm asking the wrong question. When it keeps coming back like that, and maybe what I was told is not exactly the way it went. I'm being responsible to me now. What's the answer? What is the answer? Maybe I should go back and research the language and see what they have to say. Maybe I should ask a question in a different way. Now I'm responsible to myself. Now I'm not trying to be a Christian or a Jew or a Hindu or anything else. Now I just want an answer. Well, you can't question God. Well, if I can't question God, who can I question? You think somebody that's all-powerful is saying, how dare you? You over there in the corner in Chicago. Don't be questioning me, boy. Yes, sir. What kind of crap is that? I've got to ask a question. And see, it's not what I'm saying here is not about religion, but about asking questions, about looking at things, looking at the way I grew up. A person who grew up being criticized, if they have not come to the point of understanding the difference between criticism or constructive criticism and being corrected, they have no place. They're going to have a problem learning new things, particularly something like this. Because what you say is, this thought process right here has got you in a corner. And what they hear is, you're saying there's something wrong with me. that person has to go, wait a minute, did this person say that thought has you in a corner, or did they say there was something wrong with you? I have to ask the question. I am looking at certain of the politicians running for office. You know, there's something wrong with those people. There's something wrong with them. There was an earthquake in Afghanistan the other day. Yeah, Obama did it. Or some crazy shit some crazy stuff like that. Totally irrelevant. Totally irrelevant. Wow. What is it that we're willing to sacrifice to be responsible? If we don't, then the world never changes. It doesn't change. If we don't. If we are in a classroom, there is explanation going on the board, there's a lecture going in process, and when test comes, why don't I know the answer? It's a question. Responsibility says I must be present. I must be present. If I'm present, I see. I can answer the question. I will expand and move on. It's really that simple. It's really that simple. So when we look around us, do we see that? Do we see a bunch of people with their heads stuck in the sand, not paying attention to the truth or the reality of what's going on, but yet have an opinion? What do? The only thing you can do. You do the right thing. The right thing is for me to do the right thing. And the right thing is for me to act responsibly. To talk, to speak responsibly. To communicate purely and simply what I mean. And for me to listen to what you are saying to me. There are people who will say, well, you know what I mean. Say very simply, no, I don't know what you mean. Tell me clearly and simply what you mean. I get this stuff all the time. Someone will say something and I'll say, well, according to what I've said to you, XXXX, that's not. Well, that's what I meant. No, that's not what you meant. Now you're lying. Because we say what we mean. We say what we understand or don't understand. Maybe I'm getting near the end. I don't know. I say that because now I will say to a person, XX, and they say, but I meant so and so, and I go, Oh. Pass the toast, please. I have nothing more to say. Because they are not taking responsibility. They're not taking the responsibility for listening to someone who knows something they don't know. That's what I do. That's what I do. So, if I can't do that, I won't do anything. Because I don't know how to bullshit anymore. You have to stop and think. What is he saying? You have to ask a question and arrive at the only place. It's all the same bullshit. We all think the same way. We just say it differently. Open any head. All I'm saying is think. And you have to come at thought from many different angles. If you come at it from many different angles, you see things differently. You break down the barriers of stupidity. We live in a most awesome and wonderful place, this universe. This is where we really live. But we live in anger and small-mindedness. Because they haven't learned to get past their individual culture. I'm okay. Well, yeah. Sure. That doesn't mean you don't learn about other things. You don't learn of other ways of communicating. You don't take responsibility. Doesn't mean you don't. We're communicating. Okay? We're going past the culture here for a greater culture. So, I want to say that when you are involved in learning, you have to give up what you think you already know. Because quite often, what we already know, we only know from here. We don't know from here. And here is where it counts. Here is where it counts. How I wear it. My action. My action. If I'm always complaining, nobody likes me, nobody listens to me, stop. Think. Ask the question and honestly answer the question. Why? I know I had to. Every time I answered a question, the answer always came back to me. Always came back to me. Because you, because I. Wow. It brings you down off your high horse. And only those who really live on a low horse get on a high horse. They have to be up there to make themselves seem better, stronger. You know, when you know who you are, you know none of those things are who you are. The desire to be smart makes us stupid. The desire to be these things, to prove that I am of value, lessens our value. I am what I am. having a conversation about subatomic particles. Question is, do you have a PhD in physics? Answer is no. Well, how do you know so much? I paid attention to the laws. It ain't hard. I had a conversation with my cardiologist. Just kind of came out of my mouth, well, you guys are nothing more than a glorified automobile mechanic. Anybody can do what you do. We're smart. I don't know. I could have done that. I just didn't want to. Everybody wanted me to go to medical school. Oh man, he's smart. And I thought, oh yeah, I'll go to medical school then. Somebody's dying at the hospital. Get up and go save them. Nah. Send this message. You gonna die. I ain't getting up. It's 3 o'clock in the morning. So responsibility says what? You shouldn't be a doctor. You should be doing something else. For us to look at the human body in the same way we do a diagnosis for a car. Same things. Same thing anything else. We're all smart if we allow ourselves to get out of our own way. But what do? We have a reaction. And now, here we are. Well, that's what your technique is for. When you have the reaction, do the technique so that you begin to understand something different about what's happening in your body. If you don't do that, you say the same fool that you were when you were 2 years old. And that is the problem. Emotionally, we are 2-year-olds. A person is what they're going to be emotionally by the time they're 2. 2. And here we are running around. We got red buttons to push to send missiles off, and here we are, 2 years old. We got Putin and all these guys. We got all these people killing up a bunch of their own people. We got countries where they behead gay people and stuff like that. They discovered that their women's soccer team has 9 transsexuals. I'm confused. We got 9 transsexuals. The other thing, the guys in charge of the military and stuff are raping little boys, but yet homosexuals are bad. You see where the 2 American guys got in trouble for grabbing that guy and giving him a little problem to save a boy from being raped by him? How can we be reasonable people and behave in this way? But see, we look at them and say, oh, bad people. But we don't look at the same crap that's within us, just to a different degree. Just to a different degree. The same crap. Because something is different from what I understand, instead of me taking the time to understand. I react. Well, funny thing about this universe, it's a funny thing about me as a child of it. Comes a time When it's over, it's over. You die. You can say, I should have, I should have, I'm sorry, I should have. The thing is, you didn't. As, I guess, a representative of that law, there comes a time with people, and you see they have demonstrated over and over and over again a negativity. That's it. That's the end of it. All I'm saying is when you look, whether it's an individual, a group of individuals, a country, or whatever, there comes a time there are no more chances. And when there are no more chances, it's over. Once you drop the bomb, it's over. It's done. It behooves each of us. Behooves. How you like that word?
Sounds biblical.
To take the responsibility right now. To not back up. To decide to apply the answer in the midst of the problem. That's when we've decided to stop. We've decided to find something else, When we've decided to find something else, we stop. To make a decision to walk that razor-thin line is to make that decision every time. Not sometimes, not every other time, but every time. Once we do that, you begin to see something different. Now, do not expect the world to conform. It is up to the individuals sitting here who truly want to understand. To understand. You may say, but the world is going to come to an end. Yep. Comes to an end every day for somebody. May as well. They're gone. They say, when is it a tragedy? Stuff happens. 80 people were killed in India. Is that a tragedy? No. When is it a tragedy? When it happens to me. Now it's tragic. The world comes to an end every day, somewhere. Remember that.